Let me give you an example. I have before me an article from the New York Slimes. How it got in the New York Slimes, I don't know. By Matthew L. Wald. And he writes here, when the companies that supply motor fuel close the books, when they closed the books in 2011, they will pay about $6.8 million in penalties to the Treasury Department because they failed to mix a special type of biofuel into their gasoline and diesel as required by law. Well, why didn't they mix it? But there was none to be had. Wait a minute. So that biofuel doesn't even exist. Outside a handful of laboratories and workshops, the ingredient, cellulosic biofuel, does not exist. So they pass a law compelling these companies that supply motor fuel to mix the gasoline and diesel with a biofuel that does not exist. And because they didn't mix it with a biofuel that does not exist, they've been fined almost $7 million by the federal government. In 2012, the oil companies expect to pay even higher penalties for failing to blend in the fuel, which is made from wood chips or the indelible parts of plants like corn cobs. Refiners were required to blend 6.6 million gallons into gasoline and diesel in 2011 and face a quota of 8.65 million gallons this year. So Congress passes a law that has no constitutional basis and has no basis in reality, chasing a fantasy and punishing companies, that is individuals, fining them because they can't make the fantasy a reality. You think I'm kidding? It belies logic, Charles Drevna, the president of the National Petrochemicals and Refiners Association, said of the 2011 quota. And raising the quota, they're raising the quota, compelling these companies to mix gasoline and diesel fuel with a biofuel that does not exist. They're raising the penalty. And the quota increases in 2012 when there is no production of the biofuel. Penalizing the fuel suppliers demonstrate what happens when the federal government really, really wants something that technology is not ready to provide. But it doesn't matter, ladies and gentlemen. Build this rainbow to paradise. But you know what's amazing about this? This is just as much a fantasy, or for these people a nightmare, as when people talk about eliminating poverty. We're not going to eliminate poverty. Or they talk about eliminating income disparities. We're not going to eliminate income disparity. Or talking about providing health care to everybody who needs it when they need it, and at the same time cutting the deficit and cutting the cost of policies. That's just not going to happen, period. It's not going to happen. It cannot happen. And yet all of society has to transition, has to tool up, if you will, to achieve something that's literally unachievable. And that's how they destroy us. Because when it doesn't work, what do? We need more laws, we need more rules, we need more taxes, we need more government bureaucrats and agencies to tell us more and more how to live and what to do. It never ends because we're unmoored from the Constitution and the limits it places on these utopians who are pushing their statist agenda.